There's been a lot of sad
That I'm working on.
Okay.
My own sense of helplessness.
My
And I was like, okay.
Welcome to another installment of Leadership Landscape TV, where we go inside the minds of local community leaders and allow them a chance to offer some keen insights into how they see themselves and, most importantly, explore just what makes them tick. I'm Kurt Jacobs, host of Leadership Landscape TV, where previous interviews have included leaders from the world of politics, business, religion, sports, law, community activism, and civic engagement. Today, our 166th and 167th guests are Mr. Patrick John Hughes and his son, Patrick Henry Hughes, what I consider an inspirational father and son leadership story. Now, for those of you who may not know today's guests, allow me to read some of their bio. Mr. Patrick John Hughes, on the far end, is a native Louisvillian. He was born in 1961 and in 1979 graduated from St. X High School. He finally states he is a 36-year senior at the University of Louisville with 100 hours left to complete, which he has never finished. Mr. Hughes and his son Patrick Henry share an incredible family story of tragedy to triumph and have been featured on ESPN, Oprah, The Ellen Show, Extreme Makeover, Home Edition, The Today Show, and all the major news networks. $1 Million Roundtable, the Grand Ole Opry, People Magazine, Sports Illustrated, and many, many others. Patrick Henry is a remarkable young man, born without eyes and without the ability to fully straighten his arms and legs, making him unable to walk. Additionally, 2 steel rods were surgically attached to Patrick's spine to correct scoliosis. From birth, Patrick has overcome these physical issues to excel as a musician, student performer, and public speaker. He started playing the piano at the age of 9 months and also plays the trumpet and sings. He even played in the U of L marching band for 5 seasons with help from his father, who tirelessly, love this, maneuvered Patrick's wheelchair through the formations during practices and games with the other 220 plus members of the Cardinal Marching Band. Along with the marching band, Patrick's dad spent his days attending classes on campus, assisting his son while working the overnight shift. Patrick Henry, usually a straight A student with only 3 Bs during his entire primary secondary educational experience, graduated from the University of Louisville. I love this. Magna cum laude in 2010, a Spanish language major, means Patrick can speak fluent Spanish. Patrick and his dad have made appearances all across the USA and have even shared their story in Asia, Canada, South America, Central America, and Europe. Their first book, which we have a copy, I Am Potential, is published and available around the country and the world in different languages. In 2015, the book has also been turned into a feature-length film called I Am Potential. Patrick has even found time to record 2 CDs. Patrick resides in Louisville with his father, Patrick John, his mother, Patricia, and he has 2 brothers, Cameron and Jesse. Welcome to Leadership Landscape, gentlemen. It's quite a pleasure and honor to have you here. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you very much. It's great to be with you.
This is the first interview in our over 160 interviews that we've had 2 guests featured for the whole show, and it will be an hour-length program. We're usually a half-hour segment, so this is quite an honor that you all are willing to do this and tell your story in hopefully pretty good detail. And we've got a lot of ground to cover. I watched you all over the years. I'm a native Louisvillian myself, and I wanted to wait and not, you know, when the House came along. And for those that don't know the story, that may not be from Louisville, we'll get into that. And you guys became very visible, I should say, or your family. I wanted to have some time to let that go by and see, you know, how you all dealt with it as a family and how you came out the other end of it. And I think it's remarkable that it seems to have gone on the surface pretty well. I mean, you've got a major movie that's come out, a book's been written, and I'm just humbled and honored that you all were willing to be guests on the show. So with that being said, what we traditionally do is I ask the question of the guest, and then they answer, we move on to the next question. But since I have 2 guests today, and we'll call Patrick Henry Hughes Patrick Henry, and the father, Patrick John Hughes, Patrick John, for reference, so they'll know who I'm referencing when I ask a question. So with all the housekeeping out of the way, we'll go ahead and start. The first question we ask all of our guests is, what drives you to do what you've done? And this question will be for Patrick Henry.
I think the thing that drives me to do the things that I've done, well, first of all, I would have to say my family, my parents and my brothers have always been very supportive and you know, have given me they never gave up on me. I mean, they could have just, you know, realized that, you know, when I was born blind and would never be able to walk. Of course, from the stories I've heard, they were devastated, but you know, they could have just locked me in the closet and let me live a sheltered life, so to speak. But they never gave up on me, and they gave me the strength and the courage to try things more than once. They realize that sure, there are some things that I physically cannot do, but give things a try more than once before coming to the conclusion that, as is sometimes the case, no really does mean no.
I don't think anyone could keep Patrick Henry in the corner. The guy I know has got too much energy and too much passion for life. So the question's the same for you, Patrick John. It's what drives you to do what you've done in your life and with your son and your family?
What drives me? My family drives me, I guess.
I can see that.
How could I do any less for Patrick than what I've done for any of my boys, Jesse and Cameron? You know, my goal and what I signed up for as a father was to raise young men or young women, whatever I was blessed with. In my case, it was 3 boys, to be the best, young men that they can be. God has certainly blessed me with 3 young men who are all better than I was as a youth. So very lucky there. A great wife, who's got a very, very positive spirit. A spirit that never says something can't be done. Who always not only pushed me to be the best I could be, but I saw, how she also expects the most out of her children. So, I'm just a dad. And I do the best I can. I've certainly made mistakes, but I've always tried to do something for my sons so that they can experience life to the fullest.
What I find remarkable about your whole story is that, Patrick Henry has the innate passion and God-given talent, but then you as a parent and Patricia as well, who's not with us today, you saw that and you nurtured it and you helped expand that. And unfortunately, there's a lot of families out there that may not have seen that or diminished it or whatever the case may be. And I think that's what makes this story. It is a form of leadership, even though I would argue it's more inspirational than the true form of leadership, and why I want to have you on the program. So that's what I think it makes it really unique to tell your story. So this question is going to go back to you, Patrick Henry. Whom do you credit most influential in your life? It can be more than one person. It can be academic, personal.
Well, there are several people. Of course, my family truly is very influential. I'm a firm believer in, as I often like to say, the best personal heroes can be found close to home, because really, when you think about it, your family and close friends are the ones that are going to be there to help you along when you're having problems and challenges you don't know that you're going to be able to face. And of course, I have other people that are inspirational as well. One of my favorites, and one that I often talk about, is the singer and musician Ray Charles, because like everyone, I have days where sometimes the obstacles seem a little great, things maybe I don't want to do, but whenever I have those moments, I have to look at the things that Ray Charles faced, especially in the 50s when his fame was just beginning to spread. I mean, being born in the South and African American and blind to boot, I mean, that's pretty much the odds seemed stacked against him, but he overcame those odds and became a very successful musician. So I believe that if he could overcome those obstacles and challenges, well, I could overcome, little struggles in my life.
That's great. The question's the same for you, Patrick John. Whom do you credit most influential in your life? Again, it could be more than one family, professional.
I don't know of any one person that seems to have had a huge impact on me more than my own immediate family.
Right, that's great.
Obviously, my wife. Often credit her with raising 4 boys.
Yeah, I was going to say, she deserves a medal because she's the only female in the house. Oh, wow.
But, clearly Patrick Henry had a huge impact on me. I like to think as I grew older and gained some maturity, my thoughts and ideals would have grown, as most men's do. But I think Patrick Henry being born the way he was kind of set me on a rapid path to being a different kind of man than I was at 26 when he was born. I had to really change a lot of the ways I saw the world. And then as Patrick grew, his spirit and his ambition and his abilities that he had, you know, they really made me look at the things I complained about in my own life as a 26, 27, 28-year-old man and say, my gosh, what am I complaining about? You know, I'm so blessed to get in that minivan I don't like and drive to that job I don't like.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just little things like that. You know, I knew that Patrick could never, you know, would never do that. He's not going to, well, maybe he will with technology and all,
Right,
but,
right.
you know, in the broader sense, he's not going to get in that van and drive himself to work, if you will. And you can interpret that different ways. But, you know, it just made me appreciate all of the things that I was given, mainly my health and the ability to do a lot of things that I took for granted before he was born. And then my other sons came along and you know, the same effect from them. Just great boys with ambition and drive and
Good siblings.
and yeah, they're wonderful brothers for Patrick. He'd tell you differently
Yeah, we'll get
as
some
the
great
oldest
pictures
sibling.
later. Yeah.
But yeah, that was just a wonderful. I've just been tremendously blessed with these people.
Now, Patrick Henry, this is going to circle back to you a little bit. You know, I wanted to mention to the audience that you attended Atherton High School, and I graduated there as well. And then the marching band, I wanted you to tell the story of how that came about a little bit, because that's been a pretty big component, I think, of your life story.
Do we want to go up to college as well, or?
It's up to you. You can answer any way you like.
Okay, so truly the credit goes to Dr. Byrne. I mean, he could have easily had let us have our way and said, you know, no, you don't have to do marching band, you can do pep band. But you know, truly the marching band led to so many wonderful experiences. And like I said, we had 5 wonderful football seasons and enjoyed every minute of it.
And I would suspect that exposure brought about the home makeover, extreme makeover, etc.
Yeah, everything. You know,
Everything
just
kind of
kept
stemmed from. That's why I wanted to take
steamrolling.
want to take a good chunk of time in this interview to talk about that. So
Excuse
I'm going
me,
to flip it. That's fine. Go ahead. You need a break after all that.
That was a lot,
Yeah,
wasn't
it was. It was good though. It was
a little
good.
long-winded.
So I'm gonna flip it. Our next question, I'm gonna kick over to Patrick John. What was the most defining moment of your life? Again, it can be more than one. It can
The
be
most defining, you know, I have to say the obvious answer was
Right.
my marriage
right.
to Mrs. Hughes is
Yes.
the most defining moment of my
Yes.
life.
He's
So
a
that's
smart
number
man.
one. It's number one. Number 2 would be the birth of my children.
Sure.
And I could go on
Right.
with the many defining moments. But as it's pertains to our interview today, Patrick, as he told you, he was in Atherton's marching band, and
Right.
I had to go to every Atherton home football game
Right.
to be in the stands so that I could roll Patrick from where the band sat
Sure.
in the stands 25 yards to the sideline where he would sit while the band marched behind him. And those were some great football games. Power years for the Rebels.
Oh yes.
Anyway.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We won't talk about that. This is not a sports.
But
show.
I digress.
Right.
And so, as Patrick said, you know, we went to U of L once we had decided that would be the college where Patrick would attend, because we looked at some others with Patrick, some other colleges. Then we went to see Dr. Byrne about the pep band and the marching band and all that stuff. Anyway, a guy named Barry Burnson wrote an article in the Courier Journal. I'm sure you're familiar with, I think it was Barry Burnson, wasn't it, Patrick? Or did I get that wrong?
Might have been,
Byron Crawford.
Oh, Byron. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that right?
yeah.
It was Byron Crawford. Apologies. Byron Crawford wrote an article in the Courier Journal after we'd been to marching band practice called Dad and Son Are the Wheel Thing, W-H-E-E-L,
I like it.
the Wheel Thing, about my participation in the marching band. And just on a whim, I sent that to, I emailed that article off the CJ's online site to Rick Riley at Sports Illustrated. And I really expected never to hear anything. And a couple of days later, Mr. Riley called me from Denver, Colorado, and we did a 2 or 3 hour phone interview, which put us in Sports Illustrated magazine. And Rick
great.
Riley was read by so many people. And that, you know, once that hit, then World News Tonight with Charlie Gibson and the ESPN piece on College Game Day, December 2nd, 2006. Really, the ESPN piece on December 2nd really launched Patrick and me to the world.
I see. That's
And
great.
the phone started ringing off the hook that day, and we were not as busy as we were like 2007, 8, 9,
Right.
10, and 11, but really we haven't stopped since. So truly amazing. And who ever would have thought that? I mean, my wife and I are still amazed. We never saw this as a news story or
Right.
anything like that. We never anticipated. I never was trying to be a public speaker or to travel with Patrick. I was just a dad who worked a night shift so that I could take Patrick to classes and attend marching band with him.
But it covers so many elements of the human experience. I mean, it's family, it's inspiration, it's leadership, it's overcoming adversity, it's sports.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably 5 other words I could come up with.
Truly amazing.
And the one thing I wanted to add, and you're too modest to mention this, most fathers, I think, would not have stopped their professional career. And I think that was a defining moment. You may not see it that way, so I don't want to put words in your mouth. But you literally stopped everything to make a lot of this happen, or a vast majority of it, to go to the next level. And I think that's something you should be commended for. And I want to mention that. It's a form of leadership, in my opinion.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, this question is to Patrick Henry. Do you have any regrets or disappointments? And disappointment's a strong word, so you can.
I was going to say, in all honesty, sure, I've had, moments in my life where things maybe didn't go my way or what have you, but really just little things, kind of goofy things almost. And, you have those moments, you get up, brush yourself off, and move on to the next.
I love his attitude. I just love it.
I would love to interject here.
Sure.
I saw Joel Osteen, a quote that I'll never get out of my head. He said, in everybody's life, disappointment is inevitable, but misery is optional.
I like that.
We're all going to be hit with things that
Sure.
that are going to knock us off our foundation. My wife and I, Patrick's birth, we expected a healthy baby boy.
Sure.
That
And
didn't
your first
happen.
child.
It rocked
Yeah.
our world. But if as long as Patrick, like he just said, dust yourself off and get up and keep
Exactly.
moving on, amazing things can happen. It's the people who give up, that miss out on so many opportunities.
Now, this question is for you, Patrick Henry. What do you consider in your short life your biggest triumph? And it can be personal, professional, however you want to look at it.
In all honesty, I've never really thought of anything like that. I guess being interviewed for Louisville leadership.
Well, thanks, guys.
How about that?
Let me. How much money do I have in my? I'm just kidding.
I thought you were going to say your 7 victories in a row on Jeopardy.
Well, that too.
Okay.
We have competitive family Jeopardy matches on
Nice.
occasions.
You've been on Family Feud, which we've got a picture for later.
Yes.
So this question is to you as well, Patrick John. What is your biggest triumph? It can be personal, professional, parental, maybe in our case for this particular interview.
Greatest personal triumph. I don't know, 5 seasons of marching band without running over the trombones.
Or breaking your leg, or passing out in the heat.
Didn't take out a whole row of students because I made the wrong move with the wheelchair. I don't know. That's a tough question. There's a lot of wonderful moments in my life.
Sure.
My Cameron, my youngest son, is a junior at Speed Chemical Engineering School. Phenomenal young man, very driven. That's an incredible moment for me that he wanted to take the classes in high school to as a 9th grader or 10th grader, he recognized what he needed to do to become a chemical engineer. And I was into my 40s before I figured out what I might want to do with my life. So that's a great moment for me. The amazing things that Patrick's done and the places he's taken us. My son Jesse, he's a fabulous athlete as a young man. Hit home runs and pitched no-hitters in Little League baseball and stuff.
Right.
So a lot of great. What was the question? Triumphant.
Triumph. Yeah. What is your biggest
moments.
triumph? It's the flip from the disappointment question.
And
That's why I throw it in.
disappointments. Again, I don't know if I've had. Disappointments would be things that are, things, I don't know, my dad dying.
Sure.
I lost a brother when I was 21 and he was 28.
Oh, wow.
So,
Sorry, man.
those are the disappointments. I mean,
Back to
and those
Joel
are
Osteen.
huge.
They're going to happen.
Yeah, but life goes on, and I'm just happy to be here.
That's great.
In
That is
spite of
great.
myself, I've made it to 54.
I love this next question because I think we're going to get a fairly positive answer out of this from Patrick Henry. What do you find exciting about all of this, Patrick Henry? I mean, a lot of people don't have the gumption, frankly, in your position, the ambition, and coupled with the God-given talent. Maybe they have the talent, but they don't have the drive, or they have drive and no talent. It's fascinating to me.
Honestly, the most exciting thing, to tell the truth, and it's something that I often preach, is life itself.
Mm-hmm.
Some people fail to realize that life is truly a blessing. They get caught up in the struggles and the obstacles and challenges and things like that, that yes, life's going to throw at everybody,
Mm-hmm.
but when you truly look at it, every day we're given is a beautiful thing.
You have a quote here. It says, "God made me blind and unable to walk. Big deal." Patrick Henry Hughes. I think that speaks volumes about who you are as a man and as a person and as a gentleman.
Of course, to start at the beginning with that, I think a lot of it has to do with my parents. I mean, they never really dwelt on my, as I like to put it, different abilities. And granted, I knew everyone was different in some ways, like, because even going back to when I was little, I love people to hold me. I love, hugs and things like that. Whenever people would hold me, I'd explore them a little bit. And I realized that, for example, at the time my face was smooth, whereas at the time Dad had a beard or a mustache. I noticed that because my eyes are artificial, they're, sort of hard to the touch, whereas other people's eyes were soft and fluttered. So I figured, I'm different the way everyone else is. And I don't think I realized that I was blind until I was in preschool. It's kind of a story I sometimes like to tell. At my daycare or whatever, they had this little electronic keyboard that I enjoyed playing on occasions. And one time I was sitting there playing the keyboard. This girl comes up to me. She's like, "Patrick, did you know you were blind?" I said, "No." She said, "Do you know why you're blind?" I said, "No." She said, "Because you were born that way." And, well, okay, great. Back to the keyboard. And, that's basically kind of how I've lived my life. And I've also tried to look at the positives. I mean, people have often asked me as well how I would describe my disabilities. And I say not disabilities at all, but more abilities. As a matter of fact, I actually see my blindness more as the ability and sight more as the disability, because people with sight, they see things like skin color or hair length, the clothing other people are wearing, and they make judgments based on those outward appearances. But being blind, I don't see those things. I just see that which is within a person, and that's how I can sort of pretty much make my first judgment, so to speak.
So you took that born that way. You were just born that way. Lady Gaga made millions of dollars with that as a song.
Oh,
We
great.
should probably talk to her about some royalties.
Maybe
You
so.
should. I like it. Right here. You heard it right here. I love it. What do you find exciting about all this, Patrick John? I mean,
Oh,
and
I'm
keeping
a
your
bit of
spirit
a.
up and going, and then the energy level that's required.
It's amazing. I'm a musician
Right.
from way back, so I'm used to being on stage and performing, and I guess I always enjoyed it. So what I say often is this is the greatest job I never imagined having.
Right.
Is being able to travel with Patrick and share our story in front of small and very large audiences,
Right.
depending on the event that we're a part of. So even in the busiest part of our schedule, when we'd be in 3 cities a week and living out of suitcases and coming home
Right.
for classes and then getting on an airplane and
Right,
going again,
going again.
no matter how run down I got, and you do get tired of nice hotels and hotel food and all that stuff.
Sure.
I never believed it until I experienced it.
Right.
But no matter how exhausted I was, when it was time for
Smile.
Patrick and I to go on
Yeah.
stage, I felt like $1 million.
That's great.
It was the greatest energy pill. If I could bottle that and sell it,
Sure.
it would just be amazing.
it's all
'cause
over your face.
It
I
pumped
mean,
me
your
up. And
excitement,
it
it's-
still does to this day. And our show, our 1 hour presentation that we do is usually, it's pretty much the same. We tweak it for you know, the group that we're speaking
Right.
to a little bit, but we never use teleprompters.
Right.
And we talk from the heart, and Patrick performs, and we show a video that we always show that I've seen 10,000 times.
Right.
But every time we do it, it's the first time I've done it with that audience.
Good point.
And it makes a world of difference. My wife, she's not on that page because she hears us give out the same answers and the same talks over and
Right.
over again. And she's heard it all a million times, and she's like, y'all need to revamp that thing. But I asked one of the ladies who headed a speakers bureau that used to farm us out, I said, do we need to change our story? I mean, because we're doing kind of the same thing. It's a little different, but it's pretty much the same. And she said, no, it's like watching Forrest Gump.
Right.
You know, you've seen the movie a dozen times, and you're channel surfing, and Forrest comes on, and you stop and you watch it again anyway,
Right.
because you
That's
love
great.
the story.
That's great advice.
And so she said, don't change a thing. So.
This question's for you, Patrick Henry, and I consider your all story more inspirational leadership, as I said earlier. Can you define inspiration in one word in the Great English Lexicon? This will be a question for Patrick John as well, too. It could be more than one. It could be a phrase.
You know, it's kind of interesting because a lot of people have, said that I was inspirational or what have you, but, I've always seen myself as just an ordinary guy doing what, I feel I should do to be a good, honest, tax-paying citizen or what have you. So
Yeah.
I think maybe that is truly the definition of inspiration that I would have. You do your best at everything and strive to be the best that you can be and expect, not really a whole lot in return.
Mm-hmm. Patrick John?
That's inspirational right there.
He took the words out of your mouth.
You know,
didn't
to
he?
hear this young
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody, and life hands you lemons, and if anybody has a right, I think, or, who I could understand waking
Right.
up and saying, woe is me, look at the hand I've been dealt.
Right.
A person who is, born without eyes and will never have sight and
Right.
uses a wheelchair for mobility. Not that that's a bad thing.
No, exactly.
But, it's a lot to put on one person. And this young man has never, ever questioned his lot in life. He's just Patrick. He's the most comfortable person in his own skin, I think, of anybody I've ever met. And that's all I need,
Get
is
goosebumps,
to
man,
witness
thinking
that.
about it.
Yeah.
It's a remarkable story. It just totally is. Now, this next question we like to ask all of our guests. If someone asked you, this is for Patrick Henry, what does Patrick Henry Hughes stand for? What would you tell them? Your own perception of yourself, not how someone else sees you, because that might not be suitable for TV.
I was going to say, and I don't even know if that answer would really be, because I've never really thought of that, so to speak. Because
Sure.
Basically, shoot, I really have never really thought of anything, thought of that so much, because really I'm just a person like everybody else. Sure, I have my good days or whatever, but behind closed doors, things don't go my way, and I'll get mad, I'll get angry, I'll
Sure.
say some
You're a
things
human being.
you probably wouldn't hear me say in public.
Right.
But just try to let that pass and then get over it.
You get a
All I
shot
can
at
think of is that John Cougar Mellencamp song, you got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything.
it. I like it.
And I was trying to think of things, since I go second, I have a little extra time to
Right,
prepare.
right.
So I was trying to think of something creative over here for what I stand for. But, I don't know.
Well,
That's something you just don't think about.
don't
what,
think
what do
about
I
it.
stand
That's
for?
why I
I'm
asked
just
the
who I
question.
am. We're who we are, and I'm afraid to say anything because there's always a chance my wife and other two sons will collaborate on their own book about
Sure,
me
right.
in future years and refute everything I say.
Well,
Anyway.
I'm going to help you guys with this one.
Okay.
I think it's one word, authentic. I think it's, you two are authentic. There's no put on, there's no airs, there's no BS, there's no attitude, there's no we're special, there's none of this. It's just authentic. And that's
Thank you.
how I
Thank
see
you.
both of you.
Very nice.
Yeah.
There was the gentleman that helped us write Patrick's book, Dr. Bryant Stamford.
Yep.
He talks about when he met Patrick. Patrick
Good
has
time to hold it up.
He has
to
a
reference it.
unique way. This is the paperback copy. Am I holding that right?
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
overlay it.
But anyway, he said it. He said Patrick has a unique way of disarming people when he meets them. Because there's something about Patrick when a person meets him, a new person, they don't have to put on airs. Patrick doesn't put on any airs.
No.
And evidently that's something Patrick transfers to other people. And it's been incredible to witness as we
Yeah, I'll take it.
as we travel the country and the world.
Sure.
And after we do our speaking engagements and Patrick performs and we share stories and what have you, we'll do meet and greets afterwards. And it's just phenomenal as another human and as a parent and as Patrick's dad to watch people meet Patrick afterwards and witness the way that they're moved. I mean, some people are moved, I mean, they seem fine in line and they get to Patrick and they hug him and they just melt. And you just wonder what all is inside of them that he
Right.
brings out to where they can sob uncontrollably just upon meeting him and shaking his hands. And I won't get into the stories about the things that people have told me who've met him, because they're just they're knock your socks off type stories. And then there's so many of them.
Right.
But it's really amazing his ability to change people.
To move them.
I got
inspire
to
them.
share this.
Go ahead.
The foreword in Patrick's book, in our book, I Am Potential, that I was just holding up, the foreword in there talks about Patrick's performance at a Louisville, West Virginia football game.
Okay.
And it is I first saw it in the Courier Journal on Thanksgiving Day 2006. Is that correct, Patrick? Yeah. Patrick's my living calendar. And
I love it.
He's so smart. But anyway, it talks about how Patrick changed an entire a stadium full of people
Really?
in a moment. And it's just the greatest story. It's why Dr. Stanford ended up helping us write this book, because of this story he wrote about Patrick and the experience he had at the Louisville,
game.
West Virginia game in 2006.
That is
I
unbelievable.
heartily recommend it.
Okay.
It's not only in the book, it's on Patrick's website. You can
Sure.
follow the links.
PatrickHenryHughes.com.
Yeah, you can follow the links
Yeah.
to get there, and it's free.
There you
and
go.
it's just it's a tremendous piece of prose.
That's unbelievable. Now, this next question, this will be for you, Patrick Henry.
I'll go to your first again.
Excuse me 1 minute.
No, that's fine. We'll go to Patrick John on this one. If you guys are kind of driving your own bus here in a unique situation, and you guys have been able to travel a lot with your experiences around the world and in the United States, if you were granted 2 weeks right today, and we're going to go through the pictures of a lot of the stuff you all have done and people you've met, no place to be, no responsibilities, 14 calendar days, 10 business days. Where do you go? Who do you take with you? What do you do? Patrick John, you want to start with it, or you want me to flip it back to Patrick Henry?
What do you think, buddy?
Well, I mean,
You ready?
I really couldn't. I mean, personally, if I was free that long,
Right.
I'd probably. I really love game shows, so I'd probably do that. But in all honesty, I do have top destinations that I'd like to go.
Go for it.
I'd really like to go. I think my top 5 actually: Australia, Ireland, Scotland, Israel, and this last one kind of surprises some people: Zimbabwe.
What the? Zimbabwe?
Yeah, we. It's actually interesting. We had a project. It was my freshman year of high school, and we were studying we were studying Africa for geography, and we had this project where we had to pretend travel to 3 countries in Africa where they have big tourist attractions, and make an itinerary, write sort of a journal about what you did there. And one of the countries I ended up choosing was Zimbabwe. And for me, whenever we travel to certain locations, people like to travel and see the sights. Well, for me, it's all about sound. And Zimbabwe has, if it's not the world's largest, it's one of the world's largest waterfalls. It's called Victoria Falls. I think the residents nickname it the smoke that thunders or something like that. And I think I actually do have because I have a wide collection of sound effects CDs that have all these different sounds on it. And I do happen to have a sound of Victoria Falls on one of those CDs, but I think it would be really great to go up and to go to Zimbabwe and go to Victoria Falls and actually hear it live in person.
That's great.
As a matter of fact, when we did our extreme makeover, I'll go ahead and mention this.
Sure.
We went to London, and one of the things I look forward to in London is on another one of those CDs, I had the sound of Big Ben, the big bell in London Tower. I have the Big Ben sound striking 12 o'clock, so I really wanted to go to London to hear Big Ben live and in person. So
Nice.
got that opportunity, and that was really amazing.
It's interesting what I picked up on. The sounds is what matters to you. That makes sense.
Yes.
Makes total sense. Your turn.
I don't really have a bucket list of places I want to
Okay.
go. Patrick's been, so wonderful. He's taken his mother and me to four continents,
Some great pictures.
and but I mean, there's so many tremendous things to see in our world,
Sure.
in our country. I mean, I have been very fortunate to travel to 49 of our 50 states. Haven't been to Alaska yet, but
There you
it's
go.
just
Well,
a
who
matter of
knows?
time.
There you go.
Just a matter of time.
You
If
need
you're
to
a
book a
travel,
gig in
if you're a
Anchorage.
travel agent watching this show, Patrick's list sounded pretty good.
Yeah, I like it. I
So
like
there's so many neat things to see in the world. The Parthenon and the Colosseum and Eiffel Tower, and
Sure.
you just go on and on with all these famous
Sure.
world landmarks that would be tremendous to see. And maybe I'll see them, and maybe I won't. I don't
Who
know.
knows what the future
Yeah.
holds for the Hughes boys.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to hold these up and let Patrick John reference them, and then if Patrick Henry wants to talk about them. These are his two CDs of his own music, I believe.
Yeah, Patrick has, my son, in addition to everything else he's done, has managed to take the time to record two
great.
two CDs. Each one has, 20 to 25 songs, and it's mostly all Patrick playing piano and singing.
That's great.
And on the second CD, down here at the bottom, he plays some trumpet songs with a lady named Mimi Tunnell that accompanied him. She's a piano professor at Bellarmine.
Okay.
And her husband, the late Dr. Tunnell, was Patrick's trumpet teacher at U of L. A wonderful man, a
great.
wonderful couple, both of them, just tremendous people. So, and they've got a variety of songs: jazz, show tunes, country music.
Now, is
there's
this
some
stuff that
gospel
Patrick and
songs.
her have written, or is this cover
No, these
stuff?
are all covers.
That's
I think
great.
there's a couple or three original songs. He's got one he wrote called "A Sleep in Class." That's a piano thing.
Nice.
And some other things that Patrick wrote, but mostly covers. And it's all Patrick playing trumpet and
Okay.
piano and singing.
So Patrick Henry,
And,
a question for you. What's your favorite song? Whether you wrote it or it's a cover, do you have one?
That's really a tough
Tough
question.
one. You can pick two. No
because
one's
I know so many of them and so many good ones. Probably anything country. I love, I play music from just about every genre, but if I had to pick a favorite, it would probably be anything country because I love the stories that the songs tell, and they usually have a great beat. Sort of down home, down to earth storylines, and I've actually been blessed to not only meet, but even befriend quite a few country music stars. And they truly are, what you see is what you get, so to speak. They're down to earth, got to have a great sense of humor and a great wit, great personality.
Well, you know the joke about country music. If you do the record backwards, you get
Right.
your wife back, your dog back, your house back.
Exactly.
We may cut that out. I don't know. I play nightly.
I've
right?
heard that one before.
Yeah, I bet you have.
I was thinking
Now,
if that question comes to me about favorite songs. 'cause
Yeah, go for it.
I didn't have one until today. This interview with you has made me realize what my new favorite song is.
What's that?
And it's Patrick's quote, "I was born that way."
There you go.
I'm going to find out when he said that. I think we were talking to Oprah
Nice.
when he came up with that, which is way before Lady Gaga
Gaga.
wrote that song. So I think
There
we're
you
owed.
go.
I think we're owed some money.
We've got something there.
So that's my new
We've got
favorite
something.
song.
I love it.
Anyway.
Now this is
This is Patrick's book, I Am Potential, 8 Lessons on Living, Loving, and
great.
Reaching Your Dreams, just like the one I held up a minute ago, only this is the audio version.
Okay.
It's, it came out in a hardcover,
Sure.
and then there's a paperback. And sure, hold
and
that
then
one
there's
up.
this one. I love this
Yeah,
one.
this,
I can't
this
read
is
it,
the,
but maybe
yeah,
you
I
can.
think it's the same. They tell me it's the same book. I haven't read this version. But yeah, this is the one we got invited to Taiwan.
That's great.
Where Patrick's book was published, and we did a nice book tour in Taiwan, and it's also printed in Spanish, which I could read a little bit of that through my 5 years with Patrick at the University of Louisville. But yeah, this is his book, I Am Potential, which was released by Da Capo Press.
Okay.
Is that right? Yeah. And Meredith Vieira on NBC's Today Show launched this story, or the book. So we had a great book tour, and
that is awesome.
Yeah, it's published in at least 3 languages, and it's $1 million seller, right, buddy?
Right. We have 1 million of them in our cellar.
So
You're supposed to say that.
Anyway.
I love it. Now, we've got several pictures here, and I'm going to let Patrick John hold them up, and then you can reference them however you like.
Okay.
Just keep them in that order and kind of aim them towards the camera.
All right. Well, this is. You want me to describe these?
And you can hand them to me as you're done. Yeah.
Okay, I'll
What's
just
going
hand
on
them
in
to
the
you
picture?
Yeah, this is. I guess these are both Patrick at about 2 years old.
Okay.
Playing the one on the right, on my right. I guess, yeah, the right is the camera's looking at, is Patrick at our piano at the house, which we were very blessed to have a piano in our home. When it's another God story, if I can.
No, go ahead, because I want to reference that.
I'll try to be quick, because I know we're running out of our interview. But there's a lot of what we call in our family not coincidences, but God
Patrick
incidences.
and Patricia, the names even.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that.
Patrick and Patricia. You know, my mom is also Pat Hughes.
Oh, wow.
I'm named from my mom. And my oldest brother, he lost his first wife years ago to breast cancer and remarried a Patricia.
Wow.
So at Christmas, there's 5 Pat Hugheses in our house. We're almost like the George Foreman family. But anyway, the other one is Patrick on a swing that my dad made in our side yard, about 2 years old.
It's amazing. So no one in the family played piano. He just took it up. It was in the house, or you played?
No,
that's what I wanted to clarify.
I'm the youngest of 5 children.
Okay.
And at a very early age, mom says, as long as I could climb up on the bench without pulling it over on top of myself, I would play the songs that I heard my older brothers and sisters practicing on all week. So I had the gift that Patrick has. He just has a lot more of it.
Nice.
But anyway, I'll go back to the piano story, because it's really neat.
Sure.
When I met my wife, she already owned her own home, and she needed a piece of furniture in her entrance foyer. And she bought this old piano that, and she can't play a lick. She can't even play chopsticks. A lot of people can play chopsticks or that do-do-do-do-do-do-do, Heart and Soul.
Right,
she can't even come close to those. But she bought this piano because the wood on the piano matched the woodwork in her foyer, right? So now she's got this piano in her foyer. I mean, it's like a $10 piano at a yard sale. It's nothing extravagant.
Right.
So when I meet her, and eventually we marry and move to our first house, which you saw in that picture, that piano comes with us. Now, if all those things don't happen, then we don't have a piano. You know, if she doesn't get that piano and put it in her foyer, then we don't have a piano when Patrick comes into our lives. So, you know, I kind of look back on things.
Everything
and it's like
happens for a reason.
Yeah, that didn't just happen.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's Patrick. I don't know where he's playing there. I can't.
It might be a friend's house or
Oh,
whatnot.
I need to turn over the back.
Yeah,
the
that's a great
back is a
photo there.
picture my wife took of Patrick playing over in Henryville, Indiana, correct?
Yeah.
He was
that
doing
photo.
a People magazine shoot, and they moved a piano into this beautiful, this is in black and white, but I think it was a fall. Was it fall?
Probably either spring or fall.
But it was a beautiful countryside, and they just brought in thousands of dollars worth of plants and flowers and put all around him.
That's great.
And that was in the People magazine shoot. This is another tremendous blessing for our family, the Extreme Makeover. There it is in the next slide. But this was on door knock day when Ty Pennington comes and yells, what?
Good morning, Hughes family!
Your producer's back there. You know, his ears just got blown off.
What happened?
Sorry.
But anyway, that was door knock day.
Wanted to make sure everyone was awake.
All right, we're awake now.
2007. So that was neat. This is one of my favorite pictures of my 3 sons on a sky fort that I built in the backyard before the makeover.
You name them?
And this is Patrick Henry.
Okay.
Cameron looks like he's about a year. It's summertime, and Cameron was born in July, so I'm guessing this is Cameron as a 1-year-old.
Oh, that's a great
unless
photo.
that's 2, I don't know. You think I would know that, having 3 sons, but I'm going to guess he's 1 or 2. I don't know which. All the women at home are saying like, "Oh, that's a 1-year-old, you dummy." Anyway, and there's Jesse and Patrick on the right.
And now it begins. We're going to
The
talk about
extreme
the makeover.
makeover, and this is
And that
from,
was, you were picked in '07, is that correct?
yeah,
Late
2007. Another, phenomenal. We never wrote the show or said, woe the Hughes family. We're
Right,
suffering
yeah,
in this house.
right.
Nothing like
Nothing
that.
like that.
The show actually contacted us.
That's great.
And said that they'd seen stories about Patrick on the news or ESPN or wherever, and they'd been inundated from people all over the country who didn't even know us or had no idea whether we lived in a shack or a nice home or what have you. But they had just written the show and said, this family would be good for your show if they need a new home. So the show contacted us and said, would you be interested in being considered for the makeover?
And then a quick
As
side
you know-
note, one of our former guests, Joe Pusateri,
Yeah.
got involved, and I can't recall the story. I don't want to get it wrong, but I don't know if they contacted him or he contacted them, but he became the, I don't know if you call it master builder,
Yeah,
but he's
the
the one who
Elite
built
Homes
it.
and Joe
Yep.
Pusateri
Yep.
built the house. It's been almost 8 years.
Yeah,
And they built it in 98 hours.
unbelievable.
Yeah, and the house is just as beautiful today as it was the day we moved in. They really did an exceptional job. This is on Move That Bus Day.
Yeah, what are they, yeah.
Yeah, and a really neat thing, all of the labor and the material and the time and the planning and the just all that went into building the home. This is what one of the many cool things about it. They realized when the bus moved, Patrick won't see the new house when they moved that bus. So they had the University of Louisville's one of the engineering schools did a 3D design. They somehow put the architect's plans into the computer, and it builds a 3D design of the house so that Patrick could feel what the house looks like. And the roof actually comes off of this model so that he can feel all of the rooms in the house and the doorways and everything. So it kind of helped him map out our new home, which was really cool. And
There he is with
there, of
Ty.
course, is Patrick and Ty Pennington,
Yeah.
just outside the house.
And I
Ty's a great guy too.
Yeah, he seems like it.
Really nice,
They all
wonderful
are.
man. We
Yeah.
went to 10 builds for other families after
I'm
they
going to
did
take
ours.
the bottom half here. And
Okay, we're running
I'm
out of
gonna actually
time.
hold on
I'm
to
a
it.
little long-winded.
No,
I'm
I like
sorry.
it. Just keep on trucking.
The house at night. A really neat story about this, and I won't name names or anything,
Sure.
but a friend of ours who is recently ordained.
It's great.
I'm going to say Christian. I'm not sure if that's the correct denomination, but he's a Christian minister, recently ordained. Went through all of the schooling the last 4 or 5 years. Is just really, but he witnessed one of the nights he was at the house being built, and the whole area was lit up like a football stadium at 2 in the morning. And he said he saw all these people running around building this house, and he said it looked like the house was actually up off the ground.
Yeah.
As if God was there in the moment. And he was so moved by that,
Yeah.
he changed career paths.
Wow.
And that moved him to a life of service. So
That's unbelievable.
I think that's a really
great
neat story. And that's the day we got the keys to the house from Joe
Nice.
Pusateri and Elite Homes.
I got you. I think at this point I'm going to hold them up and
Okay.
kind of reference them. This is the classic picture I think a lot of people have seen where you're pushing Patrick Henry along.
Yep.
It's the one that became the mural, which is at Broadway and Barrett, which is a beautiful mural. And you feel free to interject here, Patrick, John, if you want to. And here's young Patrick Henry with Coach Rick Pitino. I think
We
it's a great
determined
photo.
earlier that was 2001.
Wow, so that's going back a
when
ways.
Coach had a show.
There we go. And here you are on the Today Show, Patrick Henry. When you played a beautiful moving piece, I watched it online.
Yeah, that was lots of fun. Of course, it was a real treat for me because I'm a bit of a game show freak. I love
Sure.
television game shows, and at the time, Meredith Vieira was hosting Who Wants to Be a
That's right.
Millionaire. So it was a real treat to get to meet her. So.
And here's, I love this with the photo bomb to the right, but this is you with Peyton Manning. I guess what year would that have been?
That was in 2007. We were very blessed. I think I was nominated for an ESPY award in
Great.
Los Angeles, and we got to
unbelievable.
go to the ceremonies there in July
And
of 2007.
It looks like the same evening you met The Rock, and there's your mother, Patricia, looking on.
I think that was her highlight of the trip.
I bet.
That was incredible. We stayed in the hotel where the stars stayed, and we had access to the bling room, where you could go.
Nice.
And I felt awful going in there. It's like, take whatever you want. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel weird.
And here you are, looks like 2005, the opening of the Muhammad Ali Center, downtown Little Matt Lauer.
Yes, that was a
That was
real
great.
treat, getting to meet him and quite a few other people that were truly musical heroes of mine as well.
We met Muhammad that night, didn't we?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And look, I'll go ahead and say it. A couple of the highlights for me that night, a couple of the other highlights, I should say. I met Chris Christopherson. I'm a big fan of his music as well as Johnny Cash's. And then I also met another guy that was an idol of mine and still is, James Taylor.
Yeah.
Hank Williams Jr. and your mother Patricia and Patrick John's there with the Palins and your brother.
That
Here you
was
guys,
fun.
yeah. Here you guys are on Family Feud with Steve Harvey.
With my man Steve Harvey playing for a lot of cash and a brand new car.
And here's Pops getting his props. Patrick John. What is the name of this award?
It's called the Patrick John Hughes Band Parent Booster of the Year
great.
Award. Yeah, and I got the first one, and then every year now somebody else wins on a national level this award, and they give it away in Indianapolis at the National Bands of America contest. So
Okay.
unbelievable.
And then this is you guys with the band. Looks like a big time game.
well,
you guys are in big uniforms.
Well, Patrick's in his blue jeans. So this was actually when they, along with the home makeover, the show said, what would you like to do for the community? Because at the time on the show, not only were they building a family, a house, they were doing something in the community as well. And we thought of all of the organizations that have been wonderful to our family, but in the end, we chose to give something back to the band.
That's great.
And we said there's a condemned piece of property down on U of L's campus. I think that's the correct word, condemned. They had old light poles and they were about to fall and nobody could use this land.
Right.
And the show took it upon themselves to turn that into the Patrick Henry Hughes Marching Band Field at the University of Louisville. And it's used by, oh shoot, I can't think of the word, SAC, student activities or something like that. I mean, kids play soccer on it and sporting events and things like
That's
that.
unbelievable.
But the marching band, who always had the last piece of property available on U of L's campus, whether it was a parking lot or a flooded field or whatever, they got their own, they got first dibs to this brand new beautiful field that was built to drain properly and had all the yardage markers, and they still use it to this day.
That's unbelievable. Now, I got to give you props because you graduated, Patrick Henry. Here's a picture with your parents. I guess it's 2010, graduation day, U of L.
Yes, December of 2010.
Magna cum laude in Spanish, correct?
Bueno, creo que sí.
Yeah, exactly.
Trato más o menos para practicar, sí.
I love this. Now, I got to mention this. We flash forward.
Okay.
Movie comes out, big premiere, summer of 2015. I was lucky enough to attend that beautiful night. Lots of people there, probably, 1,000 people?
I think I heard they sold 1,800 tickets.
Yeah, it was more than that.
Yeah, they filled up the bottom of the palace.
So you're at the Louisville Palace, and here's the movie poster that's been between us the whole interview. And here is a picture I'll hold up for longer. This is you guys with the entire cast of I Am Potential. I think everybody that was in the movie is in that particular picture.
Great crew, and props to Zach Miners.
Well, I've got two quick questions. I know we're running a little over here. What does the future hold for the two of you? Have you thought about that? Either one of you can answer first, Patrick Henry or Patrick John, or just one of you can answer on behalf of each other.
Well, of course, I have several dreams and goals. Of course, I hope to eventually find the one and get married and start a family of my own. Might continue with my dad as a speaker and performer and recording artist, or maybe I'll use my Spanish career to pursue a career as a Spanish interpreter and eventually an international ambassador to a Spanish-speaking country. But my true dream job, and what I'm really after, I really want to be a popular television game show host.
I love it. You got a show in mind? You want to take over some guy? Pat Sajak's about done.
Well, it would be cool to work with Vanna.
Well, she might be done too, but that's another story.
Well, I've watched him do his show for quite a while, and I've loved the job that he's done with it throughout the years.
John, you want to?
What the future holds for me, I don't know. I just take it as it comes. I'm not, everything. I've always worked and did what needed to be done for my family, and then this whole story with Patrick Henry unfolded, and we went that route. So, just kind of, I'm very blessed to be able to to just kind of wait and see what happens. I'm not actively pursuing
Right.
anything other than a lower handicap
I love it.
on my golf game.
And that's a big achievement
And,
if you can do it.
And for my second son, Jesse, is he's no longer in the golf business, but he was an assistant pro, and he gives his dad some great golf lessons.
Right.
So he helps me a bunch. Eventually, I'll be a grandfather.
Sure.
My second son, Jesse, got married
Aha.
back in April. So not that there's there's no rush, there's no
Right, right,
pressure,
right, right.
Megan.
Right.
But eventually I'll have we'll have grandchildren, and
Sure.
my plans are to grow old and happy,
Yeah.
and just enjoy life.
Now this next question is one we've asked
this
all
the
of our
loaded
guests.
one?
It's the loaded one. We always end with it as I get you guys to this point. This question's for both of you. We start with Patrick Henry. Regardless of whether you want to be remembered or not, I believe firmly that both of you will be, and your family, because of the imprint you've left in the time you're here and what you've done, and there's more to come, I believe. How do you guys want to be remembered? Patrick Henry, if it all ended today, God forbid, how do you want to be remembered? I know you're young, and hopefully you've got as much, if not more, life ahead of you than you've lived. How do you want to be remembered?
Yeah, I guess in all honesty, I want to be remembered as somebody that tried their best or tried his best at everything, tried my best, I guess I should say, at everything that I've done, and tried to help people realize their potential, and that it doesn't matter where you come from, who you are, the obstacles and struggles you might face. If you have a goal and want to achieve it, just set your mind to achieving that goal, and you can do it.
That's a great note to end on for Patrick
I
Henry.
thought you were going to say
Patrick
you
John-
wanted to be remembered as a television game show host.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
Well, they'll look back on this one.
After your 38 years in the industry.
I was going to say, if it ends for me tomorrow, unfortunately, I won't be remembered that way.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess at this point, maybe I'd be remembered most as a good dad, and that would be plenty. If I can get to the finish line with that still,
Yeah.
then that would be plenty.
It's remarkable, the decisions you've made and the interesting choices that have come across your table.
It is
the good,
remarkable.
the bad, and the ugly, for lack
Yeah.
of a better way to put it.
It's remarkable that we're all at this stage. My wife and Patrick and Jesse and Cameron, we're very blessed, and we love Louisville, and the city's been so wonderful to our family.
Yeah.
And we love it when people ask us to do things that,
Sure.
Patrick's going to be, well, it's not Louisville, but he's going to be the Grand Marshal in Simpsonville soon for
That's
their
right. I saw
parade.
that.
So we love going around the state and doing little things or large things for others. And that's it brings me tremendous joy to share Patrick and our family with whoever is interested. So
That's great. Well, like I said at the very beginning of the interview, I am humbled and honored that both of you came to be part of the gallery of guests that we've had on the show. We're almost to 10 years, so it's
thank you for
it's
having us.
unbelievable.
It's an honor to be part of that group.
Well, thank you for being on the show. It's our first 1-hour show we've ever done.
Cool. We'd enjoyed being a part of it.
Well, thank you,
Absolutely.
Patrick Henry. I want to give you a handshake.
Certainly.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Patrick John.
Yes, sir.
Quite
Good to
a
be with
honor.
you.
Appreciate it. If you have any general feedback or guest suggestion, feel free to email me at kurt@leadershiplandscapetv.com. Until next time on Leadership Landscape TV, I'm Kurt Jacobs. Thanks for watching.